Guys, my name's Bernie. I run Emperor Maldives. I'm the operations manager there. I actually joined Emperor in 2012, started in Port Galib, Egypt. And yeah, thanks, Luke. And yeah, 6 years ago, I moved to the Maldives and started to run the operation there, which is obviously expanded. Just a bit of an update really on the Maldives, how it is at the moment, how things are. We've been running trips since August. Conditions and sightings have been absolutely incredible. We've been super lucky to be able to dive, and there's not many people diving at the moment, so it doesn't mean that the dive sites are to ourselves. So lots of great dives, lots of great sightings, and basically exceeding expectations of everybody, even the guides. For me, some of the dives I did, just, yeah, wow, really well. So we're currently offering a scheme called Lucky Trip at the moment. So if you are interested to come to the Maldives, runs for November and runs for part of December as well at the moment. It's heavily discounted, and the idea behind the trip is that you're not told which boat you're joining until just a few days before. So it could be Emperor Voyager, could be Emperor Leo, or could be Emperor Serenity. So yeah, very, very good option if you are looking to travel at the moment. If you do want to come, there's one thing you should know: you need to do a PCR test within 96 hours before departing from your country of origin. You also have to fill out an online medical declaration. You won't be allowed in if you haven't done either of those. Options to flying, there's quite a few. Emirates and Qatar have been flying this entire time, and now Turkish, Aeroflot, and direct flights from British Airways now, which is a very good option. So yeah, and with Maldives now been on the green list for the UK, it means there's no quarantine on your return, but that is only if you're doing a direct flight or transiting through a country that's not on the orange or red list. So that's something to worth definitely looking at before you do travel. So hopefully that might inspire you to come and join us, but let's see. So a few facts about the Maldives. Hopefully you can see the map there. So Maldives is located in the Indian Ocean. We are about 700 kilometers southwest of Sri Lanka, that you can see there. It's comprised of just over 1,000 islands. It's actually 1,192 to be exact, and it's 90,000 square kilometers. The distance top to bottom, you are 871 kilometers, so it's actually only just a little bit smaller than the UK. And there's 200 inhabited islands. So with all those islands there you're looking at, so if I just change the map, hopefully you can still see that. So the Maldives is broken down into those atolls there. So 26 atolls in total. And basically the main population, so Mali, if you can see in the center there, hopefully you can see that. So Mali, the capital city, 1/3 of the population, which is 540,000 total. So 1/3 of that population live in Mali. And then the other two-thirds is spread across 200 inhabited islands. Traditionally the Maldives depended on fishing, export of fish was their main income source. But obviously in the last years, tourism has become the biggest source of income. So yeah, right in this moment, the Maldives and the Maldivian people are struggling, like many of us are there, really needing for tourism to come back as quickly as possible. So I want to talk a little bit about the diving in the Maldives, what to expect if you come on the trip, and some things or some types of dives you'll do on the trip also. One thing to definitely expect is current. And it's not drift dives, so it's not currently you're going to drift along the reef. And many of the dives we want current, and yeah, we need the current for the reef to come alive. Basically, the Maldives, we have specific points on many of the dive sites. So could be a channel mouth, it could be a cleaning station, yeah, it could be one specific corner of a reef that we want to stay. So we need current and we want current, but we're not going to be drifting along. So you should be prepared that there's definitely going to be some current dives. And for that reason, we do use reef hooks. Don't know if you've used one before. I've also got another picture here I could show you. Let's get past that. There we go, Reef Hook. Reef Hook, great tool. I actually prefer it to be called a rock hook because we don't want you hooking into the reef. We prefer you to hook to a rock. And the reason for this, so like I mentioned, there's some specific types of dives we're going to be doing. If we get to a cleaning station or we get to a channel mouth and the action is in front of us, rather than trying to fight the current to stay in that spot, we simply use the reef hook to hook into the rock, inflate your BCD, and then you just float there like a balloon. You've got both your hands free. You're not working hard, so you can just relax and just watch the marine life in front of you. And it's very easy if you've got a camera or if you just want to sit there and watch. It's just a nice way to stay in that one specific point and just watch the action. Because you'll find, for example, in a channel mouth, once you unhook from the channel mouth and you drift inside the channel, then there will be no more action like you find in the channel mouth. So basically where the split point of the current is, where it's hitting the channel or where it's hitting a cleaning station or where the current's hitting a pinnacle, at that specific point is where you're going to find all of the action. Because basically what's happening is the current is bringing upwelling of nutrients, attracts the small fish, which attracts the bigger fish, which attracts the bigger fish, which attracts hopefully some sharks as well. So that is the reason in the Maldives we are using reef hooks or rock hooks. If you haven't used one before, don't worry, we can show you on board. Very simple. And if you don't have one, also don't worry, we have them on board for you to use free of charge. We literally just give you at the beginning of the week, and at the end of it you just hand it back. So a great tool and something to be aware of, that when you do come, you will be using the reef hook on plenty of the dives. Not all of them, but I would say at least 2/3 of the dives, that's definitely going to be something you're going to be using. Okay. Just moving on a little, so I've just mentioned two types of dive that maybe you've not done before. So firstly, cleaning stations. So cleaning station, we have the famous cleaning stations are the Manta cleaning stations. So part of the daily routine for a Manta is to come and have a little clean. And we have a few different cleaning stations. Some are maybe sort of one section of the reef. Some others are just a specific rock, even, you know, maybe size 2-3 meter rock, and that is the cleaning stations. And the mantas come there for the cleaner has to clean them or to remove parasites or to heal wounds. It's not uncommon for us to see a manta ray with a shark bite out of the wing, and it'll come hover onto the cleaning station, and you'll see the cleaner wrasse nibbling away at the wound in the wing, and then slowly over time you see it start to repair. Quite interesting to watch. So cleaning station is definitely something you'll be doing for mantas, but we also have cleaning stations for grey reef sharks. So these are normally deeper, they are normally soft corals, and also very nice behavior to see. The grey reef shark is negatively buoyant, so it has to swim to stay afloat, basically, and it has to swim to breathe. So grey reef sharks, being pelagic, they are swimming. So when it comes into a cleaning station, it's got a conundrum of how does it stay on one spot hovering so that the cleaner wrasse can clean its mouth. And they basically come into the cleaning station and they turn up to about a 45-degree angle, and they kind of wiggle. They're basically almost dropping, descending a little bit and swimming to kind of keep themselves. They kind of wiggle in the spot and open their mouths wide. And then you see the cleaner wrasse going in and picking at their teeth, picking inside their mouth. It's super, super amazing behavior to see. You have to be a little bit lucky to see it, but also your behavior will depend on if you see it or not. So cleaning stations, whether it be manta cleaning station or whether it be a grey reef cleaning station, there is an etiquette because your behavior affects the action that we see on the cleaning station. So for example, manta rays, super polite creatures. So you'll see the cleaning station with some mantas on, and then outside of the cleaning station, there'll be mantas waiting. and they come. Sometimes you get multiple mantas on one cleaning station, but often they'll take turns. So one will come on, have a little clean, then swim off. The next one will come on, have a little clean, and then swim off. And this continues. And us as divers, if we go on to the cleaning station, then the manta's like, oh, the human needs to be cleaned. So they don't come to the cleaning station. Also, if they're on the cleaning station and you go on to it, then they're like, oh, human needs to be cleaned, I'm going to leave. So very important, and you will be briefed this a lot, that the cleaning stations, we always stay away from the cleaning station, maybe 1-2 meters away minimum. So and exactly the same for the grey reef sharks. Grey reef sharks slightly different, is that they are slightly vulnerable in that position when they're cleaning, and by nature the sharks, our body language really dictates how close we can get to them. If you go swimming, boom, zoom into the sharks with your GoPro or whatever, then they swim away. So even in the channel mouths, we always stay a little bit back from the channel mouth, and then the sharks, once they see you're not doing anything, they get very, very close. And the cleaning station's the same. We just slowly approach, but always stay a little bit at distance, and then the sharks feel happy, and then they're there being cleaned. So yeah, amazing behavior to see those two different types of cleaning. And hopefully if you do come, that's something that you guys would get to witness. Some frequently asked questions. We can maybe go through a few of those. Guys, if you do have some questions, please type away as well, and I'll try to answer best I can. But some questions I've been asked a lot over the years. So water temperature, what is the water temperature? Well, we're pretty lucky. We have 28 to 29 degrees all year round. So it really doesn't change. The season doesn't change the temperature. We don't really get too many thermoclines, so we're quite lucky with the water temperature. Visibility, that's another big one. People always asking visibility. In terms of visibility, it really depends on where you're diving. So if you are diving for manta rays on cleaning stations, well then the manta rays, they like to be cleaned somewhere where they feed. So they like to feed on plankton. So of course, visibility on the cleaning stations normally isn't so great, maybe 15 meters-ish. Visibility on the channel mouths with an incoming current is very good, can be 20 to 30 meters, something like that. We don't quite get that Red Sea, pristine blue waters. We don't really get that too often. Only if we're diving channel mouths or if we're on the outside of the atolls, sometimes we can get generally not quite the Egyptian waters. Seasons, this is a good one. Seasons. So we have two main seasons in the Maldives. We have the rainy season. The rainy season is basically May to November-ish. And then we have the dry season, which kind of runs December to April. So that's kind of the two seasons. But it is tropical, so we do have rain and we do have sun all year round. It just means obviously if you come in the rainy season, there's a little bit more chance of some rain, but generally it's showers and then back to sunshine again. Air temperature, we're normally 25 to 30 as an average. So yeah, pretty good conditions. You have to be quite unlucky to have a week of rain. It does happen occasionally, but then we're getting wet diving anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter too much to you. All important is what to see. So let me just change the slide a second and then we can go through what to see. So obviously this is one of the big draws of the Maldives, the manta rays. We can see, I hope you can see these pictures, by the way. I can see them on my screen, so I hope you can see them. Maybe someone can say yes or no, just so I know. But yeah, manta rays are a big reason to come to the Maldives. We do get them year round, but they do migrate depending on season. So if you were to come in dry season, for example, then you'll find the manta rays, you find them on the western side of the atolls. And if you come on the rainy season, then we find them on the eastern side of the atolls. So basically, depending on what time of year you come, will depend on which dive sites you do. So that's one thing that's quite interesting with the mantas. If you come in dry season or rain season, you will be diving different dive sites to see those guys. Something just to note, if you are a manta lover and you really, really desperately want to come to see mantas, it's much better to come to see them when the season's fixed. Because in the dry season, in the middle, we know exactly where they're going to be, which dive sites, which time, mostly. So we can very easily find them at certain dive sites. Same with the rain season. If you come when the season's changing a little, then it can be more tricky because, as I say, they migrate from the west to the east or the east to the west, dependent. So if you do come in that change period, sometimes they are a little more tricky to find. We normally do find them. It's pretty rare we don't see mantas in a week, but it is worth mentioning that if you do really desperately want to see mantas, then the best time would definitely be to come when the season is fixed. Yeah. And then the two types of mantas we can see. So we see mostly the reef manta, okay? But we can also see in some areas the oceanic manta. So the reef manta would be the one there, should be bottom right for you, which is a Manta alfredi. And then the oceanic manta should be on the left there for you, is a Manta birostris. So we can see both, but definitely in the central atolls, if you were doing, say, Besta Maldives or Pelagic Magic or Hanifaru, those types of things, then we're definitely always seeing the alfredi. So that's the smaller reef manta. And then if you're doing a deep south trip or south central, or if you're just super lucky on one particular dive, they can just show up, then you get these oceanic mantas, which are just huge, absolutely huge, like stealth bombers if you see one of those. And the reason I put this slide up was if you do come and you do see mantas, you want to try and get this shot, okay? You want to try and get a belly shot, because from the belly, you can see two things. You can identify, so you can see maybe there, the oceanic manta very typically has that black kind of band on the back of the wing, and then not really so many spots. And then the reef manta doesn't have the black band, and then it's mostly spots, okay? And the reason that's important for you to take a picture is because that is actually like a fingerprint of the manta. So if you get that picture, you send it into Manta Trust. Manta Trust will tell you, okay, this manta is called whatever it may be, Bob. Let's go with Bob. I like Bob. So Bob the manta, and Bob the manta was found, first found 2015. He is this many years old. He's been seen here, 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 here. So always super cool. You can find out what the manta is and where it was first seen and where it's been seen basically over the lifetime. But super cool. If the manta's not been seen before, then you get to name it. So that's pretty cool. So if you have got a camera and you are coming, then yeah, definitely try and get a belly shot, and then you can see if you can name a manta. I've got another slide here for you as well, just regarding the differences between the oceanic and the reef manta. So there we have the belly. So now I'm just going to show you the back shot. This one for me is not so obvious, but it's still something to see. If you can see on the left again, the birostris, the oceanic manta, the pattern just by the eyes on the back there is more of a T, more of a distinct T. Whereas the alfredi, the reef manta there on the right, it's a bit more of a Y. It's not so obvious, but it's another way to identify them, that if you aren't underneath and you can't see the belly, if you just get one flyby, there's another shot. You can't identify the manta itself from that, but you can definitely tell whether it's a reef or an oceanic. Another one to check, this next one is much more difficult, but I'm going to show you anyway, is on the tail. So the birostris, if you can see there, it's also got remnants of the spine. Okay, so it used to be a stingray, obviously, on the time, so the stinger would have been in that, that spine would have been in that little bump there, whereas you see on the alfredi, the reef manta, it doesn't have that. And that's actually how they first identified the two differences. So yeah, something cool to look at if you are coming. Maybe you get to see an oceanic if you're super lucky, but as I said, for me, I think the good thing to do is try and get a belly shot and see if you can name yourself a manta. You can call it Bernie if you want, I wouldn't mind, to be honest, but yeah, no pressure on that one. What else to see? Sharks. So Here's the next shot for you. So we're blessed with lots of sharks in the Maldives. We're very lucky that shark fishing is illegal. So yeah, many marine protected areas there. So we're very lucky with the sharks. So top left there, we have the white tip reef shark. Really, for me, you'll see this on pretty much every dive site. So they are literally everywhere. For me, it's a bit more like a goby. I don't really think of it as a shark too much. We don't get too excited about the white tips in the Maldives because they are literally everywhere. Then go in bottom left, there we have the black tip reef shark. Also, many dive sites, we see these up in the shallows. A beautiful shark. I really, really love the black tip. Got a quiz for you now. Top right, anyone can guess what that shark is. I'm going to leave it there for a little bit, see if anyone knows what that shark is. Very rare. I've only ever seen it once in the Maldives. So yeah, see if you can guess what that top right one is. But other sharks, leopard shark if you're lucky, grey reef sharks for certain you'll see, whichever trip you do. The grey reef sharks are prolific in the Maldives. We see them on many, many sites. And that's the one we really go to the channel dives looking for, or we go into split point of current, sorry, that's what we go looking for there. So the grey reef shark, definitely a good one to see. And then you see there the whale shark. So we're also very lucky in the Maldives that we have some areas that have whale sharks year round. South Ari Atoll is probably the main area that we see them. And they're there year round, and it is juvenile males mostly. We don't really get many of the big females. We've seen big females occasionally in the south on the southern trips, but in the area, it's always these juvenile males. They're normally around 4 to 6 meters, and they basically hang around South Ariat all year round. There's about 300 to 400 different whale sharks that have been identified. So yeah, we go there. We normally spend one day searching for those if you're doing a best of trip or if you're doing a pelagic. Yeah, we're looking for the whale sharks. We always try to have a snorkel, and then we'll jump and also see if we can dive with it. It's a little bit more difficult to spot. The reef there is about 4 kilometers long, I think it is. So huge area. And it's believed, the whale shark research project believe that the whale sharks are coming up there to feed and also to warm. So they basically come up into the shallow areas. We find them sometimes in about 5 to 10 meters just on the top of the reef. And yeah, so we'll spend a day doing a little bit of search for the whale sharks. If you're super, super lucky, you'll get a chance to see those. Other sharks, if you want to see hammerheads, or you want to see tiger sharks, we definitely get them, but you do need to go down into the south to see those. You can see them on the central areas, but realistically, it's where it would be a lucky dive to see one of those guys. So if you want to see the tigers or you want to see the hammerheads, then check our info for the deep south would be your best option to see both of those two. What else can you see in general? Here you go, there's a few more things for you there. So eagle ray, my absolute favorite. I love eagle rays. We see schools of eagle rays in the channels and on some of the pinnacles, but we're very lucky with the juvenile eagle rays. They often hang around some of the pinnacles and some of the cleaning stations, and you get super close to the juvenile eagle rays. So yeah, absolute favorite. Schooling fish, big schools of fusiliers, big schools of blue line snapper, beautiful schooling fish with the giant trevallies and the dogtooth tuna hunting them. Something you can just sit back and watch, especially when you see fusiliers just rush in front of you with the tunas in hot pursuit, and it always makes a sound as they're rushing past so fast. It's for me also something really spectacular and not to be missed, just watching what's going on around you. And then macro. We do have macro in the Maldives, but often we're so busy looking for sharks, or we're so busy looking for mantas and all these types of things, we often can miss the macro. So there's a couple of dive sites, a couple of wrecks especially, that we can find some macro or some good nudies, porcelain crab, or frogfish occasionally. We did have a few last season, but now with the break we've not been able to find them again. But frogfish, leaf fish, we did find harlequin shrimp 2-3 weeks ago. So also, yeah, macro is definitely available if you do like macro. Yeah, there's a few wrecks in this in particular where we can definitely find some macro for you if you want to go and see that. So yeah, lots to explore and lots to see. Just coming back, any guesses on that shark? Top right, anyone know what that shark is before I tell you? No? Don't be scared, you can guess. Okay, so it's actually a spinner shark. So this is something we find in the deep south. Beautiful shark, pretty big, around 3.5 meters, and there's one site down in the south where we can see these guys. So yeah, spinner shark there for you. Next, I thought I'd talk a little bit about a few of the itineraries to maybe make your decision of what you wanted to do, where you wanted to go, if you wanted to come to see something specific. So I've said Best of Maldives a few times, so just explain a little bit about Best of Maldives. Best of Maldives would be our kind of bread and butter trip, if you want to call it that. It's the central atolls. It is Mali to Mali airport, so there's no domestic flights or anything like that involved. And it's a great introduction to the Maldives. So the good thing about Best of Maldives, it does a little bit of everything. You're going to do some cleaning station for mantas. You're going to do some channel dives for some sharks. You're going to do the whale shark search. You're going to go and see the nurse sharks at Manta. So lots of different type of diving, and kind of shows you a little bit of everything that the Maldives has to offer. A good thing with the Best of Maldives as well, because we run it year round, the trip is very different in rainy season or dry season. So if you were to do Best of Maldives in the dry season, then come back in the rain, you'd be doing lots and lots of different dive sites. So that's one cool thing about the Best of Maldives. If you're looking for something very specific, so sharks, then we offer Sharktastic. This one runs January to April. And it's a little bit like a mini Deep South trip. I'll get to Deep South shortly, but yeah, Sharktastic. You're basically going to do lots of channel dives, and you need to be more experienced as a diver, and you need to be comfortable with current, because there'll be lots of current hooking in channel mouths looking for sharks. Obviously, name Sharktastic, you think that's what we're going to be looking for. So yeah, not really doing any cleaning stations or anything on that trip, really just for the shark lovers amongst you. Manta lovers, then another one to think is Hanifaru in the north. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Hanifaru Bay. Hanifaru Bay is a bay up in Bar Atoll. It's a trip that's slightly to the north, so quite unexplored really, these areas, because not many liveaboards go up there much. So if you love mantas, then Hanifaru in the north can be for you. With the right moon phase and with the right currents, basically the mantas aggregate in Hanifaru Bay and can be 50 to 100, like manta soup, just mantas everywhere in there. It only happens at a certain lunar phase, and it only happens at certain current conditions as well. So you have to be lucky, but if you are to get in there with the mantas, then it's just truly incredible. If you've not seen it, Google. There's lots of information on Hanifaru Bay. Yeah, just amazing. So for manta lovers, that's definitely one to look out for. And then lastly, then I wanted to come to the Deep South. So we do 2 trips in the south. We do South Central, which is basically a trip from Mali down to Lamu, and then you would need to fly back up to Mali before you flow out again. And then we do Deep South, which you need to take a domestic flight down to the boat and a domestic flight back up from the boat. Deep South, these dives really are for experienced divers. So there's going to be lots and lots of channel dives. There's going to be lots of, well, not lots, but there's plenty of blue dives as well. So it can be big currents, some deep water. We don't do deep diving, we only do 30 meters as the max, but there are deep waters and there are currents. But the reason that we go down there is for all of the big hitters. So if you want to see something a bit special, then down there we're seeing tiger sharks. We've got the last years of Formula tiger sharks there all the time, so that's great to see. Hammerheads on the blue dives, we've got good success with the hammerheads. Thresher sharks, the spinner shark, which I showed you the picture of previously. and then silky sharks and the oceanic mantas, which I mentioned also. So that would be the reason that we go down to the deep south. So if you are looking for something a little bit special, or if you've been a few times and done the central area, then the deep south, I would say, could be a good option for you guys. Yeah. So that was kind of it, my basic overview of the Maldives. I've got a picture up there of the boats, just showing you there. We've got 6 boats actually, but I've only got 5 showing you there. So we've got Emperor Voyager, the 2 top left is Serenity and Explorer, then Virgo, you can see the name very clearly, and bottom right we have Leo. Reason to show you that picture is bottom left, if you see Voyager, next to Voyager is a diving donny. So this is maybe something you've not dived off before. If you've dived in the Red Sea, you're normally using the ribs or the Zodiacs. But in the Maldives, we have these diving donnies. They basically act as a support vessel, and they act like basically a daily diving boat. So all of the compressors, all of your equipment, wetsuit tank, that stays on the diving donny. And then the main boat itself is more like a hotel. So the liverboard is a floating hotel, basically. So we don't dive from the liverboard at all. So we're always using the dive donny to go diving. So it makes the main boat nice and quiet. You can sit on the back deck. There's no compressors, no dive deck or anything down there. And then when it's time to dive, the donny moors alongside and we jump across. Reason being, so yeah, the boats are all got single engine in the main boat. So with the currents, and you can see some of the shallow areas and the reefs near the islands there, the main boat's not really suitable to take us diving. So we use the donies for that, but it's a great option when we're doing the whale shark search. It's, you know, very comfortable. We put bean bags and the speaker on the roof and we can drive up and down searching for the whale shark, or even before and after dives, you can have a shower, go use the toilet. So yeah, a nice option, but maybe you haven't dived with one of those before. So just to explain a little bit about the diving donny. Yeah, and that's really my overview. Do you guys have any questions? If you want, you can press share and you can jump on and join me, or you can just type away in the type column there, whichever you want to do, really. I'm here, should be here for another 10 minutes. So yeah, if you have some questions, or if something I've missed, or what's the cancellation policy during COVID? So that's my understanding. So if you were to book now, basically we're doing a no deposit booking. If you have a trip already, then currently you are allowed to hold your booking until unforeseeable future. So if you can't make the trip, then yeah, let us know, and then speak to the reservation girls, and they'll sort something. In terms of the boats, we're not cancelling. We're running the boat. So since I flew back there just at the end of July. I'm now in Bristol actually, but I flew back to the Maldives end of July, and we started running trips straight away. And so the boats have been running. We've had a few trips where we've had good numbers, and we've had a few trips when the numbers have been unfortunately a little bit low, but we haven't been cancelling the boats at all. So if you can get out there, we'll run for sure. If you come, we'll run. So yeah. Joe, what have you typed there? I didn't see that. Regarding direct flights, UK to Festival. Yeah, the indirect flights are definitely allowed. So I fly through Qatar. That's the one I've taken 2 times now. I've been to the Maldives and back. It's fine. Basically, on the way to the Maldives, you can do transit through any of those locations. You don't need to do another PCR test unless you're in the location for more than 24 hours. So basically, if you were, say you transited for 25 hours for some reason in Turkish, then you would have to do another PCR test. But like for me, when I transit through Qatar, then I got a 2-hour stopover. It doesn't affect me. I do my PCR test in the UK 96 hours before I fly. I transit in Qatar for 2 hours. Yeah, transit at Doha, and no, Doha don't ask for a test, and then you fly on to Maldives. What was that, Dave? The transit and Doha, no PCR test. So basically all you have to do regarding the PCR test, there's an online declaration for the Maldives where you upload your PCR test. And then when you get to, if you fly from Heathrow, for example, like I do, as soon as you get to the check-in desk, they ask you for the QR code of that upload to that declaration, and they ask to see your PCR test. Once you're then through check-in, that's it, then you fly. Greg, no audio. Can you not hear me, mate? Can everybody else hear me? Okay. Yeah, it's Richard. It's super simple. I've flown now 2 times. I got back a week ago, so I'm quarantining with my dog for 14 days. But it's allowed, and it's very simple. You just do the PCR test, fill in the online form, go do your check, done. You transit through Doha. You've got your mask and you've got the visor, which Qatar provide, and I guess the other airlines do the same as well. But yeah, super easy. It wasn't difficult at all. Joe, what about staying at a resort after the Liverpool? Joe, that's just been allowed actually. 2 days ago they allowed it. Prior to that, it wasn't allowed. It was only you had to stay either in a resort and leave, or stay on a boat and leave. But 2 days ago, now the Maldives Ministry of Tourism, they've now allowed that you can do boat and resort, or resort and boat, or resort and guest house. So they call it split stay vacation. So yeah, as of 2 days ago, split stay vacation is allowed. So you can book a resort show if you want to. Richard, well, we had to cancel Qatar and I'm hoping for Feb now. I'm thinking, yeah, sorry to hear that, mate. But yeah, I hope so. February's a great time as well if you do come to the Maldives. That's my favorite month, actually. Dry is basically the middle of dry season. You've got 2 options. So if you do, it's the chance to go deep south then, or if you do best of in the central atolls, amazing. It's gone south, so it's quieter. It's normally fantastic conditions. Yeah, February, my favorite month, Richard. So if you are coming then yeah, look forward to that one. If the flight home is 10 hours or so after we dropped off the airport. So day use rooms. So there's a number. So they basically the hotels have to register to be called a transit hotel. So if your flight is late and you're not flying until say the evening on the Sunday, and you get off the boat in the morning on the Sunday, there are day use rooms available. We've used Somerset Inn, and we've used Somerset Lodge, and we've used H78. They're guest houses that are all registered for transit hotels. They're varying at the moment. I think they're like $70 to $80, and that should include airport transfer. So yeah, Joe, if you are looking to do a transit hotel, any of those ones really, I would suggest. I mean, Somerset's very nice. I think that's a good option, but also H78 and some of those others are possible. We were doing some day use on the boats. So if it continues as it is at the moment, when we've only got 1 or 2 boats running and we've got some other boats sitting around, then we do have some options. So we've allowed sometimes the guests to stay on board for those hours just for a small charge as well. But that's something we can't really promise or book at the moment. So maybe if you book something and one of these no deposit bookings, then close to the time, if you do come and speak to the boat manager, there may be an option. If the boat's not running the following week, then you can spend those hours on board, and we just do a day use on the boat for you. But yeah, that's something we kind of play ad hoc a little bit. 29th November, Joe. Oh, nice. I will be there then as well. I'm flying back on the 14th, and I'll be there for 4 or 5 weeks, I think. So yeah, see you on the 29th, Joe. Any other questions, guys? Anything specific to marine life or itineraries, or anything about the travel, like you guys have been asking regarding COVID and PCR testing? If you've got anything, I'm here still for a little while longer. If you've got some questions, more than happy to try and help. Richard, vegan diet, yeah, definitely can be catered for, no problem at all. It's very common now. We get many different dietary requests: gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian. That's, it's very commonplace. Most every week we are catering for those. Vegan thing for protein, we struggle sometimes. We can't always get tofu, but we can get soy meat, soy milk. So yeah, we should easily be able to cater for you. And basically, just if you do book, and let reservations know, and then once you're on board as well, when you first check in, the boat manager is always asking for dietary requirements. Okay, you don't like tofu anyway, good. Me neither. But yeah, we can definitely cater for vegan. Just let reservations know once you book, and then also just let the boat manager know once you arrive if there's anything specific you need, and we can certainly try. Easygoing vegan, amazing, Richard. So yeah, no problem. We can for sure cater for you. Joe, what are you asking there? If we fail the test, what's the situation with the boat, as we will have paid by then? Joe, sorry, my understanding, maybe reservations can just clarify. My understanding would be exactly the same, that you would have paid by the boat, and then basically that booking can be held and used in future. To book any of the locations. That's my understanding, but maybe reservations can jump on to clarify that. Richard, no preaching. Well, it's good. It's nice not to preach. I like that. I kind of flip between vegetarian. I eat vegetarian in the UK. I'm pretty much solely vegetarian. I struggle with vegan because I like cheese too much. It's a problem. So yeah, I've tried a few vegan cheeses, which aren't too bad, but mostly vegetarian. So I probably won't be chewing too much cow next to you, Richard. Yeah, vegan cheese is not too great, Rich. I don't know if you like to call Richard or Rich. There is one I've tried. There's a smoked one that I can buy in the shop just near me, which is actually pretty good. But yeah, pizza. Cheeseless pizza I struggle with, and I've not found a vegan cheese to go well on pizza yet either. So maybe you can let me know. Guys, I'm supposed to finish now, but I'm here for, if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to stay. Happy to answer anything. You might all be bored silly by now of me and my voice, but if you've got some questions, then please ask. Off to the pub, Luke. You need Sard and Tracy to go with you to carry your lightweight ass home. Yeah, David the truck stealer. Right, guys. Anything else? No. Well, guys, thank you for joining. I hope I was managed to give you some information and it wasn't too dull. I look forward to meeting all of you on the boats in the Maldives, hopefully. If you have any questions, please just contact reservations. They can answer your questions, or you can get contact to me and I'll try and help as much as I can. Reservations are now in the booth as well. So as you see there, reservations booth is open. The girls working hard as always. Well, we just kind of pop off to the pub. Well, I can't, I'm in isolation. But yeah, any questions, pop across and see reservations. I'm sure they can help you guys out. Yeah, so enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you so much for joining, and yeah, goodbye.